Hello and welcome to Blossoming Children. It has been a while, and I'm really excited to have this conversation again. If you missed her first conversation, please do check it out. It was amazing. And please join me in welcoming Mary. Mary, please join us and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Vishmanaji, thanks, Prerna. That's very nice. I'm very, very happy to be back. I love this initiative, and as parents, we all need help. It takes a village, indeed, to raise a child. So my name is Mary, and I found Sahaj Yoga, or it found me in 1996 in the Toronto area. I'm Canadian and happen to currently be living in Canada, although that hasn't always been the case. And I have a husband from Switzerland. We have one son who's now 15. I can't believe it. The time goes so quickly.
Amazing.
So fast. Oof. Yeah, you can tell the passage of time with the yogis only through their kids, because they tend to, you look the same as when I met you many years ago.
You do. Sure. You do too. It's really funny. The children get tall and lanky and bean-like, and we feel like we're stagnated.
Yeah, we're just all the same. Just like children. As I said, just before we started, to remain childlike, that becomes much easier when we're meditating, and we feel so young inside.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and my husband and I started, our first foray into Sahaj education would be as parents, which was really helpful because you understand what it is to be a parent trying to bring up your child in Sahaj Yoga. And our child had very good fortune to attend Sahaj school in Czech Republic, Boratin, and in America, Kanachahari, and also went to India and was at ISPS for a year. And then he and I were working actually in administration at Dharamshala school just for 1 year. And a couple of years after that, we started a Sahaj school here in Canada. And it's a middle school, high school. So in that capacity, we have the great fortune and excitement and challenge of working with adolescents, which is what you and I, Prerna, talked about last time. And today we say a few words about teenagers. Our kids are at the school are aged 10 to 18 or 19. And today, I guess we move more into the arena of kids, let's say, who've turned 14 maybe, and kind of beyond that, and up to becoming an adult at about 18 or 19. Yeah.
Officially on the other side of the bridge of teenage years. That's what we're touching today. And for those of us who don't know about your school in Canada, how many enrolled children do you have? What's your capacity? And are you at capacity? And if somebody's interested, how do they find you?
Oh, thanks for the opportunity to mention that, actually, Prerna, because although we're not short of parents interested in sending their children or interested students themselves, we're always looking for staff. In particular, this year, we still are missing a physics teacher. So these senior math and science teachers are not so easy to find in Sahaj Yoga. But yeah, anyone can check out the school if you're interested in putting your child on the waiting list. It's daveyschoolorg. We have capacity at the school right now for 21 girls and 35 boys.
Interesting that you have more boy space.
We have, and since the beginning, I don't know if we mentioned that last time, Prerna, but we've always had let's say 33% girls and 66% boys, and I guess 1% just for love.
I'm so curious. What made you come up with these percentages, and what has been your experience with these?
Actually, we didn't come up with the percentages. It was how it worked out with the hostel side, with the living side, with the dorm side. So the way that the buildings are configured, it makes sense at this time anyway. But it's also a reflection, Prerna, I have to say, of our waiting list. So our current enrollment, let's say 1/3 girls, 2/3 boys, is a direct reflection of what our waiting list looks like. If we had many more girls, we would change something with the dorms so that we would have space. So we're not sure why that is. It's happily so, because as you know, in yoga often it's many more.
The opposite.
The opposite. So we're happy, but it's very nice when we have a full house with girls, which we do this year. Yeah.
That is amazing. That's quite a big school with 35 and 21, did you say?
Yeah.
33. Yeah, that's quite a lot.
Right. Yeah. So this year, I think with COVID, there's a few kids who weren't able to make it, and it's too late now to invite more. So we are at 51 students, but it's a lot. Put
It's a lot.
50 adolescents and teenagers together, and
Yeah, God save you and give you the strength. Yeah, so yeah, let's go there. Let's talk about teenagers, because from a brain perspective, their brains haven't fully developed, but their bodies are ahead of their brains, and they sure do think that they're fully grown up. And so, communicating, connecting, relating to them, I think it definitely needs to be intentional. And because, what worked before may not work when they suddenly enter the teenage bridge.
it's a good word, intentional. I like that very much. You need to pause. We have a staff member who's coming to us who spent some time working at board team, and she was saying, "Oh, I need to get ready now for the teenagers." And without using the word intentional, I basically described that idea to her, Prerna, saying, "You need to first of all remember your own teenage years. That's very important, and you need to remember that what happens when for most kids in the teenage years is this natural kind of growing away from mom and dad, which is programmed in us. It's fine. It's nothing to be worried about. And as we talked about in our last conversation, with the peers, the social group starts to take precedence. And you see this quite clearly in the teenage years. What our teenagers want is the least amount of interference from adults as possible. Now, obviously, they still need all the guidance, all the support, all the love, but they do need to be given not just the idea of freedom and taking some risks and having some autonomy, but the actualization of that. They need to be given opportunities to show that we trust them, that they can organize things on their own. Those who are with these budding leadership skills, which is not every child, but some have it very strong. It's just in them. They have to do it, almost like a child who is very, very physical or maybe very athletic. They need to move very often. These ones who have the leadership gene or the chip inbuilt, they need to be able to gather. It shouldn't always be the adults saying, okay, now we're going to do this and we're going to do that. The kids themselves need to generate their own ideas. They're also preparing, Prerna, most of our students go on to our university bound. We tend to have quite strong students. So they also need to prepare for life in university or college, or let's say post-secondary, which leads us to a slightly different topic, although it's linked. And that is one of the most important things I find with our teenagers. It's not so much with the adolescents, but the teenagers will say, just because we're in Sahaja Yoga shouldn't mean that we're going to miss anything. We don't want to miss anything. We don't want to miss those experiences. And we don't want to feel like we're being overly protected. So we present to them, as Shamanaji has done with all of us when we came to Sahaja Yoga, when we were younger, in her physical form, through her speeches. These are the Maryadas, introducing, you happen to be from the East, I'm from the West. So as a Westerner, the idea of Maryadas, for example, which in the West, when you're a teenager, that's when you date. That's when you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, because we're taught that that's how you figure out who you should marry. How else would one do that? You have to kind of explore and figure out what my type is, whatever it is. And that's so ingrained in the Western culture. It's absolutely normal. You might go and visit a very nice auntie or a loving grandmother, and one of the first questions, so how are the boys? Do you have a boyfriend? And they're saying this with full love and absolutely wanting the best for you.
Uh-huh.
So with our teenagers, it's most of them are born in Sahaja Yoga. So it's not an unpacking of conditionings or teachings, which, for example, for a Westerner like myself at 23 coming to Sahaja Yoga need to experience, and thank God for that.
So
But
I'm also wondering because we just don't know who might be listening. There may be people listening who have had children born in Saj Yoga, but we also might have people listening who came to Saj later and their children were not born in Saj, um, and they may not be aware of the Maryadas or not, because depending on who's listening, what is a good way to guide teenagers without, because you started off saying, they need the freedom and we need to respect them to make decision spaces. What
right.
is a good way to frame conversations with teenagers so that they are more receptive and that the conversation doesn't get defensive on either side? Have
Right.
you found some good strategies for that?
Yes. And we haven't figured it all out, but as a team here, some of the strategies about communication, and I've noticed that with you, Prerna, that you're so much of what you're talking about is communication, and I can't agree more. We need to actually create time, whether you're running a school like we are in the schedule or as parents at home. It can't all just happen spontaneously. That's the first thing, Prerna. It can't just all happen like, oh, I'll have them in the back of the car. Some of the best conversations with the teenagers do happen spontaneously, but it's like regular dental checkups or bringing the car into service, even if it's not making a noise. Checking in, finding that time, that quality time where we're unplugged, and telling the child about it. Say, okay, but next weekend or on Thursday night, just you and I, we're gonna head out here. So they already feel like, okay, I have my time with mom, I have my time with dad, or it might be a grandparent or an auntie, uncle, whatever the situation is.
Sure. I love that idea of carving out time so you can be fully present.
Also, because Prerna, otherwise, sometimes it doesn't happen. If we're always waiting for the spontaneous conversations, we need to enjoy those opportunities as well and jump on them. But in terms of the communication itself, of course, listening. And listening is always more important than talking. And feeling that we already know, we might be assuming something about the child. We might be assuming a certain behavior that they're engaging in. We might be assuming something, oh, this is a dangerous one, something about their friends. We have to be very careful also when we talk about our child's friends, because if we have a preconceived notion of, oh, that one is leading them astray, or I don't really like that one. Again, remembering that for the child, this has also become, it's also like a family member for them. I mean, in some cases, you have to be very careful not to insult who they have chosen as their friends. So allowing them the space, asking questions, giving compliments, not only to them, but about their social circle. Like, hey, I noticed that Michael is getting really good on the skateboard, and already they think, mom is saying something very nice and positive about my friend. And listening, just talking, letting the waves kind of come. Now, of course, some kids are going to talk more than others, but giving them that space. And even if we're driving to get an ice cream, sitting in silence, they know mom's there. Maybe the next time, the second time or third time, they're going to be more forthcoming. And then sharing from our side. And Prerna, every approach to communication with teenagers is going to be slightly different. I would just say from my experience, and this would depend on the situation and on the kids, I have found to be somewhat forthcoming with my own experience, and how meditation has helped me goes a long way. Because with our own son and with our students, they feel like, that little anecdote that Miss Mary or that mom just shared doesn't actually show her in the best light. So already there's a feeling, the child feels like, oh, they're being honest, because why would she share that? It didn't make her seem so great. And then she's telling me she went from A through B and C to D, and this is D where she started meditating, and then her life started to change. So I do speak from personal experience. Now, the extent to which, of course, we need to see how our own comfort level and the age of the child. So I don't go overboard with that, but I'm not sure. I'm long past that. I used to be, but now I'm not scared to share where I have fallen down and how meditation has helped me.
I 100% agree, because when we can be honest and transparent and authentic, we're more relatable. So we're not putting this idea that you have it all figured out, because we don't have it all figured out. I mean,
No,
the truth is, none of us have it figured out. And the teenagers are trying to figure it out. And it almost feels like the land beneath them is very shifty. So, if we sound like we're on a very solid ground, it already makes them feel like, well, I can't tell you anything because you're there and I'm this, and you can't feel what I'm going through. So I'll hold it in because you won't understand.
right. This judgy, also very, I'll be not shy to share failings with you, Prerna. Recently, I sent a message to a young person, and it was it was a bit judgy in nature. I made a mistake, and it's very important to apologize and say, "Gosh, I'm sorry. I went a little bit overboard. Let me remind you that the challenges that I faced when I was younger are very different than yours. For example, social media, Prerna,
Didn't exist.
the pressure, my God, imagine if we had that. So I really have a lot of sympathy for the teenagers. We have to imagine what that's like. As you pointed out, in a developing brain, it's hard for you and I mean, you, even after a while, you see all these images, it's like going to a shopping mall and everyone's shiny and beautiful.
It's a lot.
Oh God, I should replace my curtains at home. My house doesn't look and imagine, so that, like, it's like walking to the mall with the phone every day and seeing these images, especially, I would say especially as women, young women, developing teenagers, to see these images. And it's not just what people look like, but it's what they're doing. And
but it's the reactions. Yeah, it's the reactions it creates and how much it ruins our attention. So, we have an adult brain and it still ruins our attention, and theirs is still developing.
Imagine. So this is such a disadvantage. The point there when you were asking about what strategies that we use, again, this honesty, but also keep in mind all of the adults. I think it's really important that this whole arena of social media and having the world in their pocket that they're carrying around is a big topic, and we can never run away from it. It has to be, it's part of our daily lives, has to be part of our daily lives. And again, I mean, we're in a Sahaj school, setting parameters. So whether we're at home, whether we're new to Sahaj Yoga, or we ourselves were born in Sahaj Yoga, now we're raising our own children, we have to dig deep on this one with the device in the hand. And we have to be ready for pushback and trust our instincts that, oh my God, they've been looking at that screen without looking up for an hour. How can that be positive? And when you have that feeling, I would gently suggest go with your gut and just say, come on, let's find a recipe, we'll bake something together, or let's go and visit that person, or we haven't been out on that hike for a while. It's going to take energy from our side. As you and I discussed, Prerna, with the littler ones, TV is a great babysitter, Netflix. It takes more effort as parents now. We have to come up with alternatives that are going to be appealing, and also let our children sit in silence and kind of do nothing sometimes and have downtime. Say, well, what, you take the phone, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah. Figure it out.
And sometimes you say, we're going to get in the car, we're going to bake something, or we're going to go play tennis. And sometimes you just say, I'm confident that you're going to find.
I trust you to make some decision that, and even if they're bored, even that is good for the brain. But also I would add to it that, you said this is something really is not going away and we all have to adapt to it. I would add the adults in this conversation and say, lead by example. If you're attached to your device, children are also watching you. So I'm hearing this in the coaching space for the younger ones. The younger ones get very reactive when their parents have the device because they don't get the attention. So the younger ones are coming out and saying, I don't like your phone in your hand. You love your phone more than me. But I would say when they become teenagers, and if you want them to not be device addicted, then you also have to allow for time when your device is not dominating your environment.
And it might require a deep dive into how our day is structured, how our work life is structured. This, even though we didn't grow up with it, Prerna, having the world in our back pocket at all the times becomes quickly quite, addictive. Very handy. You get used to it. I mean, I found a map in my sister's car and I was like, well, let's try to get there. Just a map just for fun, but taking a look at our habits as well, how social media affects us, and our family? Are we still finding time to have a games night or to go for a walk after dinner, or etching out that time to meditate together? Can I say one thing, a specific thing, a practical thing? With the meditation in the evening. So with Sahaja Yoga, of course, we try to meditate in the morning to set us right, be in the center for the day. And then we meditate, hopefully with a foot soak in the evening to kind of bring us in balance before we sleep, let everything go in the day maybe that was bothering us. And it's not easy to do what I'm about to say, drum roll, but a strong suggestion is that there are no screens after that final meditation. So, we're trying to clear this the sixth chakra, the Agya chakra, that very important for the eyes, where all the thoughts are coming from. So once we've had our evening meditation, to try as a family, as you said, lead by example. Now we don't look at our phone. Oh, I just have to send a message, like, okay, send the message, we'll wait for you. Then we're going to have our evening meditation, and it's not going to work all the time, and we're all on summer vacation right now. But once we're into the routine, especially with teenagers, they cannot go to bed with this. Nothing cancels out meditation, but the Agya, as soon as we're looking at this, the Agya gets going. So if we're going to take that beautiful step and helpful step to meditate in Futsuk in the evening, if we can add on, now there's no TV in your room, there's no phone in your room, shut the laptop, basta. Now we're going to sleep.
Yeah, I really like that you don't have the phone in your room when you sleep as a teenager. I've heard other parents say that the charging device is not in the room that you're sleeping.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
I think that's a good practice even for us, because I know last night, I think I was getting a text in the middle of 4 o'clock, which woke me up. Even though it was on silent, I could hear it and it woke me up. And so, and sleep is restorative and it is nourishing, and we need to value sleep. And teenagers, don't you think, need so much more sleep?
Oh my God. We could wake up our kids. We could set our it doesn't matter what our wake up time is. That's what I'm going to say. They will sleep until the last minute. Like we think, oh, we'll let them sleep in. They're all going to be up early anyway. No, they will sleep as much as you give them. Prerna, I just want to circle back. I think it's a really important point about the Maryadas, and I was linking that with trusting our own instincts and this whole kind of Western culture of dating. I think, in so many movies, even in the West, where dating is okay, and as I said, it's kind of part of the culture, there's this trope of the overprotective dad. In so many movies and sitcoms and stuff, the dad, when the boyfriend comes, is like, and there's protective. That's because that is a pure natural instinct.
Yeah.
What is it that the father is worried about, or the mother, whether it's a girl or boy? There's innocence. That innocence is still flowing like sap through a tree in a teenager. And our instinct as parents, because we love them, we can feel that innocence, we know it's there, is to protect that. So we can also trust our instincts, and we have to be courageous as parents, especially in 2021, and to go there and to talk about what's the nature of the relationship and how do you feel. We know these developing brains, as you said, Prerna, that emotionally, teenagers are not prepared for certain physical relationships. So this is why Sahaja Yoga is so practical. It all makes sense. The Maryadas are not a pie in the sky idea, spirituality, holiness. It's actually inside of this developing still child is not ready to have this kind of, in many cases, in Western culture, this kind of exclusive relationship and a physical relationship. And we know that it does a lot of damage. Again, I'm sorry to say, particularly for young women, they can be very emotionally damaged. So we should also feel like, well, other kids in the class are already kissing boys or having a girlfriend, but I just feel this is wrong. We should trust this. And if we feel sometimes that we're the odd man out and our family is different, that's okay. We should be honest with ourselves, be true to our instincts. And it does take courage.
How would you frame that for somebody who's in that space? What conversation could the adults have who are listening if they want to support their teenagers who are sitting in this space of like, everybody has a boyfriend, girlfriend, and I'm the odd one. How do I do this? What do I do? How can you give them courage and confidence?
Yeah, I find personally these conversations are not easy because when we're yogis and we want our children to grow up as proud yogis, yet they want to be like everyone else. What I've said to the young people is we need to know inside where we draw the line. And if we have feelings, for example, for we see when one boy comes in the room, we feel really excited, or whenever we try to find ways to try to be close to a certain girl, we like to have conversations with her. We say, okay, am I ready to block everything out? We want to keep that circle of friends wide, and also to recognize that this chastity, I'm going to get to the kind of core, to the essence of it, but our kids are very intelligent, that the chastity, once we cross, we can't really come back from that. And we need to think, do I, or what do I want to give away? Because we can't unexperience something. We can enjoy our social group, we can have girls and boys together, but Marietas are simply like these invisible kind of protection. So yeah, protection from what? Protection from stepping forward into something before we're ready. So a practical thing would be, we would think as parents or as educators, at what age are we very comfortable for the social groups to be mixed? For example, going out at night, going out to see a movie, and there's girl, boy together mixed, but it's in a group, and we would see ourselves, okay, do we feel okay with that at 16? Is that all right? But this exclusive, for example, I know a family nearby, a yogi family, they would say that one boy has a friend who's a girl, and go by the house only if there's another friend, and there's no going when the parents aren't there. It's hard for me to give like it would depend on the family, of course, Prerna, but we need to all of a sudden not come down hard on the child. Why are you working? But this is why the conversations are so important, step by step. Oh, so wait, let's say they're in grade 7. Oh, you're going to a birthday party of that girl and you have a son, for example. Okay, so who else is going to be there? We ask those questions, and they know my mom's going to ask those questions. Mm-hmm. That's in her attention. That's love. She cares about me.
And I think you're exactly right. It's really hard to give one sentence as a recipe to take out, but it's a strategy of knowing that from the time they're little, that you're having an open, honest conversation. This trust is developing, this respect is developing, and it doesn't change when they become teenagers. The conversation sounds different because you're including them and asking them, but it doesn't start then. You know what I mean?
Right. And if they start to have, they go off in like a little group too, they're with a group, and then there's like one girl and one boy, we say, okay, I'm not okay with that, to be clear with the parameters. And again, it's not to insult their friend or the group. Say, go out, guys, have a good time. But for us, let's say for me and Dad, we're not comfortable with that. Why? The other kids, they had a boyfriend. I said, yeah, and how did that go? I'm also not shy to even ask our own son or our students, what are some of the experiences your friends, have they all been positive? You don't need to share their names. And they will share, and they'll say, well, no, not really. There was a young guy who was saying, he was in grade 7, he's saying, no, none of my friends have girlfriends anymore. They're too expensive. We had a really, really good laugh about that. So this was like grade 7. So you can see though how far it goes in the West. It seems that the age, it goes younger and younger and younger.
It's getting younger.
And not to be afraid sometimes say, no, that's not going to work for family. That's way too young. You can enjoy friends as a group. We will talk about girlfriend and boyfriend when you're 16. Till this age, that's just not allowed. It's also okay, Prerna. We want to keep the door to conversation open. It's a delicate balance, isn't it? But we should also feel free to say, this isn't okay in our home. And if there's a slammed door, a door can slam. Nothing's going to happen.
Many have slammed in our past. Many have slammed, and the door still stands. The house still stands.
And look at you. You're in great shape. That's also
It's
okay.
all good. It's all part.
That's also fine.
I would also say that if it doesn't slam, there's something wrong because it's a normal,
Right?
it's normal pushback. Yeah, you expect it because you expected it when they were toddlers and preschoolers. It showed up when they were middle school, high schoolers. So it's normal growth happening, and I think trusting that your relationship can withstand that you won't cave
Yeah.
because the door was slammed.
If you've always showed love to your child, which is in various forms, sometimes it's because you buy them an ice cream, sometimes it's hug, it's just you're being near them, close to them, and sometimes obviously it's no, sometimes it's discipline. And if they know, no, but mom loves me, I know that loves me. I actually said once to our son, what is this right now? I was telling him how I felt about something, we disagreed. And I said, what is this right now? And he said, yeah, you're telling me no. I mean, we were having a good conversation about it. I said, but what is this? Pointing at him and I. And he was quiet for a second and he said, it's love. And I said, yes, it's love.
Beautiful.
So it's not about fanaticism. It's
Yeah.
not even about the house rules. It's
Yeah.
Ariadas are love.
Yeah.
They come from God
Shimatsu,
for all of us. Yeah.
I'm reminded, Shimatsu, you would say, and maybe you remember this too, she would say, more than anything else, children don't want to lose your love.
Yeah.
More than anything else, it's not the strictness that'll keep them in line.
Yeah.
The fear of losing your love will keep them in line. And it's not materialistic. It's children don't want to lose the adult's love, and by our actions we can push them away, and we can create this friction, and we can create this distance. I'm also reminded just in the moment that a strategy that is helpful for the younger ones also applies for this age group. And I have acronyms for everything because I can't remember anything, so I have an acronym. So KLFF, I've landed on that. KLFF: if you come from a kind, loving, firm but fair perspective, right? So if they can feel your kindness, if they can feel your love, and if you can be fair and firm, you got to be fair. You cannot make judgment calls that are not fair. Yeah. This applies for youngers, but I think this also applies for the olders.
I like it because firm is consistency as well, and consistency is also important for teenagers. Now, that having been said, as kids get older, Shmanaji said when the child is 16, then you become, I forget where I read that, friends. You become more like friends at 16. So with that consistency, but as they come into these older teenage years, then you can really enjoy and really have fun and say, come on, we're going to go out, and go out and stay out very, very late, like have an adventure with your child, something that you wouldn't do when they were younger, and to feel and really see you as a person and someone who's fun. And
it may be that it may be into the 20s. I mean, our girls are in their 30s and we're best friends now. I mean, I love my girls and we are like literally best friends now because the parenting is done. Yes. And that day will come. That day will come when you will become friends. But teenage is not the place where you're being friends. They still need a mom. They still need a dad.
No. And I would agree. Something that my brother said recently, there was a friend of his daughter and the mom said, no, we're friends. She shares everything. The daughter shares everything, but there's no firmness. It's like, ooh, so tell me what's the latest. So if we start going down that road, that's really off. Sorry, I'm not judging anyone. I think the child should feel like if you tell them, but then you know what those two did, and then they snuck in, and then at some point, a child does want that firmness they want their parent to be like, whoa, that's really, really hard. That I'm so unhappy to hear that kid did that. That's really going to affect them. They weren't prepared for that. They're not prepared to be in that kind of relationship. Instead of going, oh, really? Do tell. Give me the details. I mean, we shouldn't have that kind of. We're not dishing with our kids. We're still.
No, we're not.
And as you said, as they get older, you become a friend. But they know who we are because all through the life we've been consistent. I was telling the kids, I'm not going to all of a sudden change how I feel about dating among teenage years. First of all, because I'm a yogini and I embrace what Shamaji said, but also because I have my experiences which have taught me certain things which nothing would change my mind about that. So that's my mom. She's steady. That's a pillar there, and I know how she feels. That's important.
We are so running out of time and we've gone way over time. So, last minute closing thoughts, words of wisdom.
Wow, about teenagers. Not to be too critical. Give them their space. Give them their space. Let them have fun. Don't freak out if the hair is suddenly green or, I mean, we have some rules at the school. You actually can't color your hair green, but when we're at home, to pick the battles. What are the most important things? What is the most important thing, the color of my child's hair? No? Okay, so I'm gonna leave that one. The most important things for me, for example, the protection of that innocence and that chastity, that we're communicating with each other, that I share of myself in an honest way and ask that of my child. I really like this kind, loving, firm, and fair, that we're consistent and firm. Let's put that acronym. That's my final. I like
KLFF.
that.
Let's just spread it out. KLFF. Parenting KLFF style.
That's a nice final word, I think, for
Yeah.
teenagers. And enjoy them. They're becoming adults. It's such an exciting. Talk to them. What do you like to do? Let's go see a movie. What are you reading? What are you thinking about doing after high school? Also enjoy this very exciting age, despite a few slammed doors. When they're in a better mood, to don't be afraid to start that friendship, slowly moving towards, hey, we can also have fun together.
Yeah.
Let's go get a Coke.
They have something to add value. They have value to add. They're seeing things from a different perspective. And so that's really fun to hear from, oh, wow, that's really, I had not thought of that. That's a good perspective,
Very intelligent. And if they call us out on something, whether it's using our phone or maybe giving a comment, which maybe isn't so open-minded, take that and say, ooh, yeah, that's true. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Or, we don't be afraid. They'll start correcting. I mean, to a point, but if they call us out on something, say, that's actually true, that I shouldn't have said that about your friend. Forgive me for that. That was a bit too much.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Even with the younger ones, I think when they call it out, that's a teachable moment. And if we can open it and say, yeah, that's a good point. I did goof up there. That was not how I meant it. Yeah, that's a great place. Well, as always, these times just fly by, and we could.
Fly. My God, I can't believe it. But it's always a pleasure, Prerna. Again, I really appreciate and applaud yourself and the team who are helping the parents at home, and big applause to all the parents to try to raise children in Sahaja Yoga as best as we can, but to know that it does take a village, and you're not alone.
You're not alone. And thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. This really is a team effort. It really is an initiative. So we are close to 500 subscribers, which is amazing. And, people are watching videos and so many comments are coming in. Keep them coming. And, who knows how long this journey goes. It's all in her hands and she's guiding it. And our desire is just to help and support families and children wherever they might be. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's got it figured out. But just want to end on a note of hope that, it'll be okay.
Yes, it will be okay. And we all went through those experiences. Nobody did a perfect job, but we can learn and share from our triumphs and from our mistakes and failures as well. Yeah,
have faith in yourself and have faith in Shrimataji, and the right answers will come and the right guidance will come when you need it.
Yeah, when we ask for it as well. Yeah.
All right, Jai Shrimataji.
Yeah, so nice to see you, and much love to all the moms and dads out there.
Thank you, everyone. Take care, and until next time, bye for now.